ऐसा होता है कि क्लाइंट रिक्वायरमेंट आया एंड देन उन्होंने एक जेडी दिया एंड देन यू आर फाइंडिंग द कैंडिडेट बेस्ड ऑन द जेडी दैट दे हैव गिवन. देन अगेन ऐसा होता है कि वो 10 दिन बाद आते हैं और बोलते हैं कि यार इसको ये तो आता ही नहीं था, हम इस वजह से रिजेक्ट कर रहे थे. सो हाउ शुड वी हैंडल दिस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन?
Very good point. I think internally,
during these 5 years, you must have seen various changes in the recruitment industry as well. And
Yes.
AI has completely overpowered everything in the industry. So how has it impacted your team?
I think until COVID had hit, we were still on that, let me call the person for an interview, let them come in. Thanks to COVID, and this transition started happening during COVID, is one, there is a system need to filter out all the applications that are coming in, right? It has a benefit that you get to see only qualified candidates who match your criteria.
अगर हम पहले के टाइम में देखेंगे सो लोगों को एक स्टेबिलिटी चाहिए होती थी कंपनी में और बस इस कंपनी में लग जाते हैं एंड देन अभी 10 साल यहाँ पर आराम से काम करेंगे. बट आज के टाइम में आई थिंक 1 out of 1000 CVs यू वुड सी वेयरइन यू वुड सी कि किसी ने किसी कंपनी में 5 साल दिया है. इट इज वेरी हार्ड टू सी एंड फाइंड दीस डेज. देयर इज अ डिबेट इन द मार्केट अबाउट नोटिस पीरियड.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now you're
So
touching
let's
a
go
chord.
a little controversial now.
Yes, absolutely.
So guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel pitchnhire. I'm your host Vanya और आज मैं आपके लिए लेकर आई हूँ बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग गेस्ट. His name is Gautam Duggal and he is the director of Global People Strategy at Mastercard and he is recognized as one of Asia's top HR leaders and a global expert in talent management. और वो आज आपको बहुत सारा ज्ञान देने वाले हैं and we are going to ask him a lot of interesting questions. For example, salary negotiations, retention and the notice periods. कैसे आप एम्प्लॉय के साथ सैलरी को नेगोशिएट करोगे, ये भी हम उनसे जाने हैं क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली इज कमिंग विद 22 years ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस इन द इंडस्ट्री और वो आपको बहुत सारी बातें ऐसी चौपी चौपी बताने वाले हैं जो हमें नहीं पता थी. और हाँ, वन मोर क्वेश्चन, कैसे आप डायरेक्टर लेवल अप तक अप्रोच कर सकते हो. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू गौतम सर टू बी हेयर एंड टेकिंग टाइम. सो टू स्टार्ट विद, सबसे पहले हम आपसे ही जानेंगे अबाउट योर सेल्फ, अबाउट योर जर्नी. तो कैसे आप पूरा टैलेंट ऑपरेशन लीड कर रहे हैं and you have been part of global operations, right?
Yes.
So please tell us about that.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And so currently what I do is I lead the talent team for one of the business units of Mastercard. We are across 58 odd countries. We are close to 7,000 people now. We've exponentially grown. And it is good to be a part of such a dynamic and enterprising team. While I am thoroughly interested in what people are doing across the world, I think there's a lot of opportunity happening in India as well. So glad to be here and looking forward to our conversation.
Great. So today's podcast is all about people strategy and global expansion that you have done throughout the world. But उससे पहले एक बहुत important question है मुझे. What is the difference between Mastercard, RuPay card and Visa card? And why Mastercard?
Okay. Okay. So let me sell the company that I work for.
Yeah.
So all three are payment networks. We don't really issue your card. We don't really manage your credit card scores and all of that. We are simply there to facilitate the payment when you go and buy your iPhone, right? My job is to make sure when you swipe your card or you tap your card, the payment goes through in milliseconds. Whether you're in India, whether you're in Uganda, whether you're in Portugal, that payment has to go through in milliseconds. You don't have minutes to wait. That's what they offer, right? And why Mastercard for me? I think I thoroughly align with the values that the organization has, and also the kind of great people that you end up working with over the course of my last 5 years with them.
Right.
I don't think I've ever thought of RuPay or Visa anyways. so that's my selfish reason for being at Mastercard. But that's what we primarily do. And our job is to make sure that payments across the globe are happening seamlessly and people are able to purchase whatever they want, right? And whenever they want, they don't really have to wait for a bank to open up.
Right. So what is your role like in the company and like what are your day-to-day responsibilities as the director?
Okay, so look at me as somebody who should ideally know the top talent of the organization across the globe. Look at me from a skill acquisition, skill building, reskilling perspective. think of me as a soundboard for a lot of our senior leaders to look back and say, are we going in the right direction from a people strategy standpoint, or do we need to relook at certain things, right? That's my job. I create a lot of problem for my senior leaders for sure. But then there is the element of everybody's doing learning, everybody's doing great talent acquisition, everybody's doing great talent assessment. What is that X or differentiating factor that we are doing at Mastercard? I think that's my KPI, right? That is what I get judged on and get paid for. And luckily for me, I think I have worked with some very great senior leaders and my vendor friends who have always come back and try to push the limits.
Right.
So whatever was working for us in 2022 doesn't work anymore, and that's what we do.
So how the market, I mean, you have been in the industry for so many years.
Yep.
So how have you seen the market changed throughout the years, and how would you differentiate this market 10 years ago?
Oh, you're talking a different lifetime then. I think it's the 22nd or the 23rd year of me working. This is not the only market that I've worked for. I've worked in other markets as well. I've supported other markets. I think I'm the only one that I know of who's had a team in Pakistan.
Oh.
So I think we're maturing at a very fast pace.
Right.
And we are maturing to an extent of that every 3 months look very different from the past 3 months, right? Both from how the technology has evolved to the kind of business that we are doing, right? And to the kind of revenue streams that we have. So all of that culminating, it's a different game every single day now. But 10 years ago, I think we were still catching up to the world. We were still trying to match what the greats of the world are doing.
Right.
I think that has shifted completely. Today, the greats of the world sit here, and we are at a position where we are able to dictate that what works for India is here, and we have the know-how today. I think 10 years ago, we were still building it up.
Right.
One amazing thing that has also happened in the last 10 years is there's this new breed of people who've joined the organizations, and they're very fearless, and I love them for it.
Yeah.
Young talent like you. You guys are out there, you're trying out new things which maybe people of my generation or the generation before were still thinking of as a retirement plan of this is what I will do when I have done enough at work. I think that brave generation has also pushed us to our limits and beyond, right? Whether we love it or hate it, but it's thanks to you guys. We are doing great things today.
So it's been 5 years since you are with Mastercard, right?
Yes.
So during these 5 years, you must have seen various changes in the recruitment industry as well, and
Yes.
AI has completely overpowered everything in the industry. So how has it impacted your team, your work culture, and how do you process the things in your team?
So we'll have to go back in time a little, and let me share a story. I joined Mastercard in January of 2020. For a long time, my claim to fame was that I've only been to office for about 30 days, and then the world had shut down, right? So COVID had hit.
happened, yeah.
I think until COVID had hit, we were still on that, let me call the person for an interview, let them come in, I want to physically meet them, have these guys over here for a couple of hours, make the entire army meet them, and then a final decision is made, right? Before that, you would run your ATS, you would run your hiring systems where they're recording their videos and pitching their candidature. You'll do all of that. I think thanks to COVID, and this transition started happening during COVID, is one, there is a system need to filter out all the applications that are coming in, right? It has a benefit that you get to see only qualified candidates who match your criteria, but candidates are smart. They also create their profiles based on the ATS, right? And I would be very surprised if in today's world you're carrying your single CV everywhere for every job. It has to be customized.
Correct.
Right? That's the name of the game. They're doing it. So as a recruiter, I need to be smart enough to ask the right sort of questions or have the right checks and balances.
So the candidates has to be smart and the recruiter has to be smart as well.
Exactly. That's what you need. Nobody wants to hire a dumb person.
Correct.
Right? So I'll be very happy if they have like 5-10 CVs to showcase, saying, okay, if you're hiring me for a sales role, this is my CV. If it's a marketing role, this is my CV. But if it's an internal marketing role, then this is my. I'm absolutely fine with that. I think this is where our challenge with the technology started, is because our technology was then filtering out people who were very qualified for the job, but maybe their CVs weren't tweaked. That's where we saw mushrooming of, resume writers and creators, and then they would run with chat GPTs and stuff like that, and we'll create their, resumes and charge you for it. I think people, smart people, they figured that out, that I could do it as well. I think that also pushed us to reevaluate the factor of who are the right people to meet these candidates. It's not just about the technology. While I'm doing the basic filtering here, I also need to make sure that my people, the right decision makers, or the people who understand the job, are meeting these candidates. I'm not just making everybody meet them, which I would probably do in 2018, right? I remember a point in time, I was here, we were hiring some people from a campus. I think I was allocated about 10 people to hire or to interview. And in the same time, my manager had interviewed about 80 odd people. And he had a list of people he wanted to hire. I was still struggling with these 10 interviews. So I'm very sure he had some trick, right? But the system cannot replicate it. My application tracking system or my filtering system is not going to replicate that kind of expertise, right? So we have to go back and evaluate as to who's the right person to meet them. How many rounds of interviews? Honestly, if today somebody would call me up saying there's a job and then they line me up for 7 interviews, I'm dropping off after the second.
Yeah. True.
If you can't make your decision in 2 rounds of discussion, what's the point, right? Same thing with our candidates also. So we reduced that time. I think one thing, again, the technology bit did was it made people accessible, which is the recruiters are accessible today. There's an expectation that the recruiter should be accessible over at least a WhatsApp, and come back to me and tell me if you're not hiring me, right? If I'm getting a system generated email which says, sorry, unfortunately we'll not be going ahead with your application, it's literally frowned upon in the market. While the candidate might not have like a free flow to say, but that's not very personalized, right? In a hyper personalized world, there has to be something better. So that has obviously shifted. Our recruiters are more in touch with people. They actually go back saying, Gautam, this is the reason why you're not going ahead, right? If it is automated, Gautam might end up writing a bad review about you on LinkedIn, right? Happens. So you got to manage that expectation, and it's universal. It is not that it's particularly based out of a country or a particular generation. I think that expectation has changed. If I can get a pizza delivered via Zomato in so many minutes, why can't a recruiter give me 3 minutes to tell me this was wrong and hence we're not hiring you? So that has changed, and I credit technology for it.
Right.
But as people, we had to go through a major churn
during
COVID to actually adapt to this new style, because this was all new territory for us. Suddenly somebody calling me up saying, I'm looking for an internship. And I'm like, but I don't take care of that. He's like, but you're a talent guy, right? What's the difference? Then I had to explain it to him, you're a software engineer, right? You're not a network engineer. There is a difference. So there's a difference between a campus guy and a talent guy. So that has changed. And this has rapidly changed since mid of 2020. And like I said, every 3 months it's changing.
And connecting with recruiters have also become so easy nowadays.
It has to be.
I mean, you can literally connect, email or text anybody over LinkedIn, and there are so many channels from where you can take the phone number and the emails. Everything is available in the market.
Absolutely.
So it has become easy for candidates as well to reach us out.
I have recently started receiving video messages from people that I don't know. There's a feature on WhatsApp where they record a 30-second video which pops up like, some guru is talking to you, and it loads as it goes. And they've literally pitched their profile to me in 30 seconds saying, if you have a job, let me know. All you need is their phone number. And then you can be as creative as you want. I think that is the next click. And as recruiters and people who are in HR field, we'll have to adapt to this space. I can't really go back and say, okay, I'm hiring 600 people, so I can't do this anymore. maybe
And
you're
then,
hiring 600 now.
Some candidates, what they do is they do controversy as well. Like, I messaged this person 10 times and
Yes.
this person did not care to respond to me, and they literally share the screenshots over LinkedIn tagging you.
Yes. So there is obviously a good thing and a bad thing with technology
Right.
and accessibility, and that's what I think. When you talk about leadership, right? It is not based on a particular position. It's based on how you are dealing with different situations, right? And this is where the maturity of your team, of the individual, comes into play. You have to really work with them at times to make them understand it's not you. Maybe it is the factor of we need to grow up faster than how the market is evolving, and not be bogged down with such slamming online, but let's take corrective measures.
Correct.
If they're sending you a video, you send a video saying this is what's happened, sorry we're not going ahead, or this is what's happening, it's going to take another 2 months, are you okay with it? Like
Right.
that communication has to happen. We can't really go back anymore,
Yeah.
where we say to the candidate that, oh, we have 35 people applying for this role, so I'll come back to you whenever I come back to you. I think today's challenge is offer shopping. People are using one offer to shop
Yes.
to the other, and I'll be very surprised if somebody lands a great job and does not have another 2-3 offers in hand. It's not a smart move in today's market. It's a norm. I'm not saying do it, but it's a norm today, and that's what recruiters also have to feel, that we are at the losing end as well. While candidates, we have many candidates, they have many opportunities.
So on that note, has ATS, since it's been launched and you're also using an ATS,
Yep.
so has it actually, I would say, helped you guys to make sure that your hiring has been streamlined in a better way?
Absolutely. I would credit ATS with the factor of at least you see the right sort of profiles, and you don't end up going through manually through a sea of profiles to figure out who would be your top 10 guys.
Right.
Obviously, you have to build it around the factor of what's your new job scope. We also use some integrated scripts to give a score around what are my top 5% profiles for this particular role. And those are primarily technology roles, so it's an easy hard skill to hard skill match. When it comes to more of business skills, right, that's where the word of mouth comes into play. It's less about what you've written on your CV, right?
Right.
It's more about what kind of references you carry, what kind of experience you carry. If I'm hiring somebody who's going to go and pitch to an HDFC bank to issue 2 lakh cards,
Right.
he's not going to pitch it to a bank manager, right? This guy is pitching to their C-suite.
Right.
So obviously we'll come in with a different set of hiring skills, and that's where our executive hiring team comes into play. But ATS actually helps us in the bulk of hiring. But one challenge is the kind of adaptation it has to take, that's taking place internally. I think ATS sort of still needs a lot of work because every single day we are launching new products or new services in different markets, which requires people to come in with a different set of knowledge. So hence I'm hiring a different set of individual but in the same role in a different market. So my ATS may not throw me the right sort of profiles, right? So we have to then rework on some of the aspects. But by and large, it absolutely helps. Like I don't think there's a substitute for technology.
Yeah. So you just talked about interview processes. So let's talk about Mastercard only.
Yep.
So how many interview rounds are there on an average?
So we try and close it between 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Depends on the level of a particular role. It has never gone beyond a 4, right?
Okay.
Unless you are hiring at a CHRO level, right? Then the conversation might go on a little longer. But at those levels, you obviously have your succession plans in place, and you know which person in the market would be the right fit. But it's between 3 to 4. It cannot be 7 to 8. And that might also include a factor of maybe an assessment that we need to do for hard skills. But yeah, we try and tag it at max 3. You're unsure, let's have the 4th verdict in. But it has to be quick. It has to be clean. It also has to be a factor of the people who will manage them are the ones who are there in the room taking the decision. It cannot be the decision of Gautam sitting in India for a person who will report to somebody in New Jersey. that person has to be aligned, while I might just finally get the number to sign off on.
So I have seen a lot of HRs who are from TA background to be traveling across the country for the companies
Hiring, yes.
hiring, right? So why do companies send them globally? Please let us know about that.
I think it's twofold. One, just like you said, let's sell Mastercard. That's the first point. Is you sort of not only maintain relationships with maybe your hiring partners or the campuses, but also to keep upselling on the brand value and the equity. It's only the person who's inside the cage can tell you how beautiful it is, right? And what are some of the things that we are doing differently. It's very difficult for us to simply, send out somebody who's new in the job and say, okay, go talk about the values. It may not work, right? So that's why we travel. Not that we love traveling, obviously we do. But then the other factor of this is also, I think it gives access to the candidates or potential candidates to somebody who's senior in the company and have a clear one-on-one with them. I've had people come up to me and question the ethics and the values at Mastercard and said, I think quoting back to Glassdoor saying, I heard this, is this true? And I can show you on Glassdoor, one of your employees is saying this. What's your take on it, right? It gets hard once you get into the job. It gets hard to not approach, but really find out time and have this sort of discussion. People will then have a lot of, they have fear that,
Right.
oh, if I ask this question today, will my employment get hampered?
Right.
At that point in time, they don't really care. If they don't like it, they'll walk away. I think that's the other factor, is for us to be vulnerable and be out there and say, when I talk about the values, this is what I stand for, and these are some of the examples that I have. It is less to do with, let me see the people that I'm hiring. I think those days are gone. This has to do with brand building. It has to do with the factor of, while I'm here, ask me all the tough questions you want to.
Right.
And then make up your mind, because once you apply and you're in, you have to be 100% in, right? That's why I would travel.
Nicely answered. So there is a debate in the market
Yes.
about notice period.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Now you're
So
touching
let's
a
go a
chord.
little controversial now.
Yes, absolutely.
So why there is so much debate about notice periods nowadays कि employers खुद तो 90 days का notice देते हैं, but they want immediate joiners always.
So this was one problem I
This
tried
is irony,
solving
but
for.
actually it's true. We can't help it.
Yes, this was one problem I tried solving for, and then I had given up, and then I
Right.
chose my camp, and I said, this is where I stand today. The adaptation of the notice period boils down to the factor of the business's readiness of losing an employee, right? Which boils down to the factor of, are your people leader equipped to foresee this change, right? Anybody leaving an organization is not just dependent on how much money they will make in the new job, right? Maybe there are those 3% people who suddenly land up a 1 CR package. There's no stopping them. If
Right.
they're not going, then I'm going on their behalf, right? You should go if you've landed that, but that's only 3%. The remaining 97% who are losing, who you end up losing, is a factor of multiple things. It could be money, it could be job location, it could be situation in the job, toxic manager, don't like the work, whatever, right? And they have signals, right? It's not just one fine day, Gautam will get up, pick up his bags and say, boss, I'm going, new job says, join tomorrow. You're saying 90 days, I'll pay the money and go, right? There were signals 6, 7, 8 months ago. Was my manager so in tune to figure it out? If they were not,
Right.
they would not have planned for it. And hence they want me to linger around for 90 days so that they can figure out another person to come in and take over the job. I think I stand with the camp of, there should be a 1 week notice period for any job. Because I come from a point of view of, what if, God forbid, somebody drops dead tomorrow? Would you wait for 90 days for their soul to depart? No, you've already lost your candidate, right? Now you're doing that cold calling and hunting. This person has shown you, events of, hey, I'm checking out, I'm going. Either you retain them or you figure out a backup. You can't really figure out a backup. Are you equipped to be a manager? If you're not, then we need to rethink.
Right.
Then I need to figure out a backup for you.
True.
Right? A lot of organizations are not doing it. Unfortunately, in the Indian market, 90 days is still a staple thing saying, oh, we're on a client-side project. What will we tell the client?
Right.
What if my employee goes missing tomorrow morning? What will you tell them then? He's left, right? Maybe you need that 1 week to settle things down. Maybe they are in tune with a lot of company data, which is proprietary to you. You want to maybe bring in a 10-15 day cool off period and let them start new. 90 days they are not productive, you can't get the new guy in, even if you find somebody, right? And then you say, okay, I'll let you go, here 2 months of pay as well. This guy is making money, man. I think I stand with that point of 1 week, maximum to a month. Please let them go. 90 days is so 2020. We're 2025.
अच्छा, एक important question मुझे इसी से ही strike किया, that you have been in industry for more than 20 years.
Yes.
So throughout your career, how many people have you seen who have actually served 90 days complete notice period? क्योंकि सब लोग आते हैं. Yourself.
Myself. I have.
Okay.
Luckily, I've been part of the firms where it was only 30 days. So 30 days go by. I'm happy doing the handover. I'm happy meeting all my friends at work. Interacting with them, sharing numbers, personal life. Some people I know from previous organizations even today. I think 90 days is not based on the market dynamic. It is based on one HR senior guy's logic. And maybe it got published in some big HR forum saying, okay, 90 days is the ideal time as per human psychology to do this and that and figure out back-end planning and all. But today nobody wants to serve 90 days. I can't wait 90 minutes for my pizza to come. You're now talking about 90 days of notice, right? You're unnecessarily paying the guy. Let them go. Let them start afresh. Bring them back later on. Try different things. They're anyways not stopping now.
So, what is your take on rehiring?
What's my take on rehiring? I think it's a mixed bag. There are some people who want to come back and there are some people who don't. But the opportunity should be available to all. You never know who's doing very well in their new job and has great ideas today. Maybe they did not have it earlier when they were working with you. So I'm completely open to rehire. But I think it also comes with the factor of not looking in the history too much. I think as people leaders, we tend to go with the history a lot. And we tend to go by the factor of, oh, you know what, this is what happened last time, so it might repeat itself, right? Yes, with human behavior, that happens, but situations do change and businesses are changing, right? So past performance does not guarantee future results. We are looking at the stock market. But past behavior does give you an indication of how the future will also hold true. With that factor, yes, you should reconsider your decisions a lot of times, but it should not be a factor of, hey, last time this person was only with us for 6 months, found another job, left, so I'm not going to reconsider them for a rehire. Why not? Have a level playing field. Let the best person come into your team. What if this is your star performer in the next 6 months? You never know. So we go by that philosophy that you're always welcome back. Unless there were some, litigious move that you did. But apart from that, I think it should be in a level playing field. You can't just draw upon historical references and say, okay, this is what happened 15 years ago.
Right. तो सर अब थोड़े situational questions पे बात करते हैं.
Okay.
तो like I'm not only talking about Mastercard, but in other companies as well. For example, कभी ऐसा हुआ कि बहुत एक बड़ा project आया and then एकदम से टेक टीम ने बोला मुझे 1 महीने के अंदर 100 बंदे हायर करके दो, एकदम कंप्लीट टेक्निकल चाहिए मेरे को. So एकदम प्रेशर बन गया आपकी रिक्रूटमेंट टीम पे. So then how did you manage these situations? So some tips for us कि आज के टाइम में अगर हमारे पास ऐसा कोई सिचुएशन आता है तो हम कैसे उस सिचुएशन को मैनेज करेंगे?
I think first things first is if you do land up with such a big project, then think first I would run to the ATS and get as many resumes as I could, right? Look at our resume bank and not just rely on my recruitment team, but also take help from the business saying, hey, you want to have these guys, right? Let me figure out a very streamlined plan for you. The recruitment team will do just the basic cross-check. We'll schedule the interviews. You guys take the interview, finalize, and we'll keep striking the numbers. What we'll also start doing with our external partners and our campuses is the factor of, do you have anybody who's not being placed, right? Because while you go to these tier 1 colleges, there could also be people who might not get placed by the sheer, timing of it. I think that's a great place to pick up your talent. There's also a factor of when you open it up on places like LinkedIn, you get astronomical figures of applications.
Right.
Again, technology comes into play. I am not going to look at all those CVs. A lot of times we've so the LinkedIn ATS will cancel it out, and then our ATS will cancel it out, and then you get the CVs. I think we'll open the filtering criteria a little more and say, let's get more into place. Let's look at immediate joiners. Let's not look at great talent, but available in 90 days. Let's look at immediate talent today. We've had a situation back, I think about 7-8 years back, in another firm where it wasn't a technology project, but it was more of a consulting project. We did end up hiring about 500 odd people across 2-3 countries. And those were like immediate joiners in a span of 3 months. But you could do all of this as long as your process and your system are streamlined and aligned. If your system is doing something else and your process is very bulky, then I'm sorry, I will have to hire more people to actually get it done. Right? So I think my funda has always been, let's deliver value.
Right.
And our expenses should be as close to $0. That's how I get my next bonus. So I think we've done this before, but it has to be a very streamlined process. It can't be 7 rounds of interviews, 3 written tests, 1 final interview, and suddenly you say, oh, I wanted a diversity candidate in this.
Right.
If you wanted one, then that should have been your filtering criteria.
Right.
So that doesn't work, but a very streamlined, simple process always works.
So, sir, there are situations कि ऐसा होता है कि client requirement आया, and then उन्होंने एक JD दिया.
Yes.
And it is not completely fine tuned. उन्होंने सब कुछ mention नहीं करते हैं वो कई बार बहुत बार ऐसा होता है.
Yes.
And then you are finding the candidate based on the JD that they have given.
Yes.
And then when they are selecting the candidate, उनका feedback भी नहीं आ रहा है proper. They are just rejecting.
Yes.
And then again ऐसा होता है कि वो 10 दिन बाद आते हैं और बोलते हैं कि यार इसको ये तो आता ही नहीं था, हम इस वजह से reject कर रहे थे. तो all together they have changed the complete JD.
Yes.
So how should we handle these kind of situations?
Very good point. I think internally it's an easier challenge to handle than to work as a third party player. Internally we actually get a sign off saying, is this it? There's a standardized JD. But then in your team there are multiple X factors and Y factors you're looking at. Why don't you take a day and figure out all the factors you want in this JD? Right?
Internally, though, you can say all these things.
Exactly. Sign off on this JD, please.
Right.
Let's make it a part of our contract.
Right.
As a third party, I'm going to make it a part of my contract with you.
Okay.
Right? Now, I'm going to find people based on this JD. If you're going to change your searching criteria and you don't tell me after the third candidate, then I don't think we're going anywhere. Because I'll keep sourcing and supplying people to you. You will keep rejecting them.
Right.
You're not hiring anybody. I'm not closing anything. Candidates are not getting any job. It's sheer lack of communication, primarily from the hiring guys end, right? So we typically sign off on what are the skills do I need, which particular industry I need it from. We go to the extent of are you looking at a diversity candidate? Why a diversity candidate? Why not somebody who's skilled to do the job? I'm not worried about gender. I'm worried about the person coming in and staying in the job, right? Then tell me if you're looking at changing the scope of role in the future. Because if you're hiring somebody at a mid or a senior level, they will have this question of, okay, I'm joining at this level, what's next for me? As a recruiter, I should have that basic understanding, right? I'm not promising anything, but at least I should know that there is something there. As a third party, I completely agree. It is a norm in the market, right? It's a very bad norm,
Yeah.
and that pulls us back from all the advancements that we claim in terms of human capital. That actually pulls us back to the extent of, I believe, and this is me, I would believe somebody calling me from a Hong Kong office and saying, Gautam, we are looking for so and so role. I don't have a JD. By and large, this is what the role is. Would you want to apply? Versus somebody in India calling me up and saying, I have a JD, I've sent it to you, why don't you apply? Just because of my sheer experience with India hiring managers changing their position so many times, I'm happy going with the person who doesn't have a JD. Because the expectation is clear, I don't have a JD. So when you will meet the hiring guy, you will actually figure out the job there. I don't have it today. Versus this guy sending me a JD and my job figuring out to be completely different to what the JD said. And they said, oh, we changed it in the mid. Why?
Why?
You know? So that, I think that pulls us back, and that is taking a lot of very talented folks away from great jobs that they can do. Because then they don't look out. Like, they're happy sitting where they're sitting. It's not contentment. They just don't want drama in their life.
Right. So you also talked about job hopping and lots of offers that offer shopping that is happening in the market, and due to which candidate back out ratio has been increasing very drastically.
Yes.
Right. So as a recruiter, hiring recruiter, how can a recruiter make sure कि वो कैसे उस प्रोसेस को स्ट्रीमलाइन करे थ्रू आउट द इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस, एंड व्हाट ऑल शुड दे टेक केयर ऑफ व्हाइल डूइंग द फाइनल डिस्कशन विद द कैंडिडेट कि वो कैंडिडेट उस कंपनी को ही ज्वाइन करे?
I think as a recruiter, and when I was doing that role, I think what was important to me is to understand, what does this guy want. I want to hire him. Great guy. Matches my JD completely, right? Perfect scenario, unmarried, no liability, can move around, spend 18 hours in the office. But I've never gone back and asked him, after this job, what do you want to do next? Right? We do end up asking who's there in the family. You know, we are basically checking what's the scope of, what's my risk of this person either not showing up or eventually leaving, saying, okay, because of family situation, I can't be there. I'm doing risk averse technique. I think we should be more invested in that candidate asking, what do you want to do in your life? And then coming back and saying, team, Gautam, while he's a fit for this role, 2 years down the line, he has bigger aspirations. We may not be able to fit him. While he's there in the race, I don't think he's our top candidate anymore.
Right.
I've only found very few recruiters do this with me. And whoever did, I worked with them. And I worked like 12 years, 5 years, like that in companies. It's because they knew that yes, we can offer what this guy is asking for in the future. Hence, let's continue the conversation. Wherever the recruiters have not asked me this, then I've only looked at that job for that point in time. Then the day I'm in, or even the day before, I am on interviews. Right? Unless you ask and you have a line of sight of what is this guy looking at or this girl looking at, until then you're shooting in the dark.
So when you joined Mastercard, how many offers did you have?
Controversial question. I had 3.
Okay, great.
3.
So on what basis did you bifurcate it? कि मेरे को I have to join this company. Apart from money, what other factors that plays role?
So you answered one. The other one was, I think, my interaction with the person that I was going to work for.
Okay.
I think that clicked very well. And this interaction actually helped me understand that while I'll go there and do great things, there will be an investment done in me as well. You know, because that's coming up in the conversations already, and I have not even joined them. And this doesn't sound like a fake promise. I could figure out a fake promise, right? The third aspect was also not just the brand value. It was, I think for me, it was the factor of, do I see myself working with this firm for a very long period of time?
Right.
Honestly, I had a 3-year plan. There was a point in time I went back to my hiring manager and said, while you've hired me, I had a 3-year plan. My 3-year plan is done. And what we ended up discussing was, now I have a blank slate for the next so many years. Let's rewrite the story. Let's rewrite the plan. Hence the 5 years now, right? I think you have to have that sort of investment with your leaders. There's nothing stopping you from going back and talking to your leaders about this. So yes, I had many. Since then, obviously, the world has moved. So minimum 5, 6, I do anticipate. But again, if I don't know where this guy is heading, I will never be able to curtail the expectations. I'll only be checking off, do you have another offer at hand? Can you write it on a piece of paper and send it to me? What is the job that they're offering you? And then I'll try and cross-sell my job over it, right? But once I understand this guy is looking at rampant growth, my company can offer it, then I'm selling to his dream.
Right.
And then I'm not selling the idea. He's already bought it. I think that's how I got hooked.
Cool. So last thing that I want you to talk about retention. एंड अगर हम पहले के टाइम में देखेंगे लोगों को एक स्टेबिलिटी चाहिए होती थी कंपनी में कि मेरी जॉब सिक्योर है, सेफ है और बस इस कंपनी में लग जाते हैं एंड देन अभी 10 साल यहाँ पर आराम से काम करेंगे. बट आज के टाइम में आई थिंक 1 out of 1000 CVs you would see wherein you would see कि किसी ने किसी कंपनी में 5 साल दिया है. It is very hard to see and find these days. So कैसे ये जर्नी लोग क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे? What is the issue nowadays? Is it all about money?
I think it was always about money, you know. And maybe you could edit this, but I used to tell my friends in college and later on in life also, if I had enough money, I would never work for anybody. Okay?
Of course.
I would simply have my own farm, go sit in the farm the entire day, do farming.
This is the dream of everybody,
right? Exactly. Right? And then go home in the night, eat food and sleep. So I think it's less about the money today. It is more about the expectations of people not being matched at the job. While I'm coming in to do a great job, big title, big brand, anybody and everybody would know this brand. But at the end of the day, I'm not very happy of what I'm doing. Hence, people will hop. I think retention is a very, very tough thing to do. It's a very tough thing to do. It's very easy to say, okay, let's retain our people. You can throw X amount of money. They will still go if they don't like the place, right? You can take them out for fancy offsites, Florida, all expense paid trips to them and their families to Goa and all of that. That will only buy you another 30 days or 45 days till the time they get the call or a WhatsApp message from another headhunter saying, we are looking, are you open? Right? It only gives you that time.
Right.
Retention is very tough because it has to come at the grassroots level. There are people who are very loyal to an ex-company because their dream is to go on site and work on a project.
Right.
While they're not getting any money, they compare themselves to their peers. Their peers would have bought big SUVs, they're still driving their smaller cars, but their dream is to go on site. And the moment they go on site, their dream is fulfilled. So they would spend those 5, 7, 10 years. Unless I understand what that dream is for that individual, I'll not be able to retain them. Right? What is the point of? Then you will come in and hire like all those memes, right? I'm looking for 800 kgs of people because I have to fill all of these slots for new projects. It's insane. Plus retention gets tougher as you go up the level. Because my expectations over the years have changed, no? I think when I started working, I was very happy to buy a Nokia phone. Then I got extremely happy when I could afford my first car. Then I got extremely happy when I could buy my own house. Then I got extremely happy when I got my second promotion or third promotion. Then an iPhone came into play. Then the newer version of iPhone came into play. But today, because you've done it, your aspiration is no longer the next car.
Right.
You're happy driving your old car also. Now your aspiration has changed. So, as talent, HR, acquisition people, even people managers, we need to be very in tune with the expectation of this individual is, well, life has changed for them. When I started working, I was a kid. I have 2 kids. So my aspirations would have changed for them now. So what worked then will not work today. So don't give me more money. Sell to my dream and I'll stick around.
Nice. So, sir, to end this podcast,
Yes.
Few last notes from you for the upcoming recruitment managers who would want to go at the director level in their companies. Some
Okay.
tips for them, how they can leverage your experience and how they can move towards this goal of their life.
I think my primary recommendation is to go spend time with the business. If you're hiring for a sales role, you should go sit with them in those sales calls. You should go sit with them in those meetings. Not just the meetings where you decide on how many people you want, but when they're doing account planning, when they're doing, sales force management, go sit in that. Unless you understand your business, not really growing up to a director level. Second thing, don't restrict yourself just to the talent acquisition space. Do multiples of things, right? Do like a 3-month rotation, do another job. Not another company, but the same company. Do just something else. That gives you access to intelligence of how does my bad recruitment or good recruitment impact all of these folks as well, right? An outside-in view will tell you how good or bad you guys are, right? That has helped me. The other thing that has also helped me is the factor of let's look at big picture item. Let's not just look at candidate turnout ratio is low. Let me fix it. ATS is not working. Let me fix it, right? Our employer branding is not working in certain places. Let me get a camp up there. Those are essentials for the job. Let's look at the big picture ticket where you're looking at how is your cog helping move the bigger wheel. Because then you'll be able to explain it to your team and your team will start trusting you. Hence, they will stick around. Otherwise, you will be refilling your team only.
Right.
So, where is your time to then grow up and go up?
Right.
Right? So, you have to sit back. You have to do a bit of business management. You have to maybe do certifications, may not do certifications, completely up to you. But you have to do something beyond just the recruitment so that you understand that impact of good or bad recruitment. That will definitely get you a seat at the table.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much for being here, and I think this podcast must have helped a lot of recruiters क्योंकि आपने बहुत सारी चीजें sort करी हैं हम लोगों के लिए.
Thank you.
And great. Hope to see you again in future.
Absolutely.
And guys, if you'll share a lot of love on this video, then we will definitely invite sir again, and you can drop your new questions in the comments, and we will be happy to answer. And if you have any query, then you can definitely connect with Gautam sir over LinkedIn. We will tag it in the description.